Thomas, welcome. As I look at your record, it continues a pattern of the Biden administration of nominating individuals to the bench who have long careers as activists. Throughout the course of this hearing, you have explained some of your prior positions as simply representing a client. But when I look at your career, I don't see that. I see that you are passionately committed to a particular vision of the law. It has ranged from filing briefs in litigation in the state of Texas, defending race-based discrimination in university admissions, to most consistently transgender activism, and I would submit extremism. And this hasn't been one client you had in one case. This has rather been a consistent pattern that extended when you were a lawyer for the state of California, that extended when you were a lawyer for the U.S. Department of Justice, that extended when you were a lawyer for the state of New York. In 3 different jurisdictions, you have been involved in litigation on the extremes of transgender issues. And in particular, you've carved out an expertise for yourself using litigation to force institutions to allow biological males to use restroom facilities and locker facilities that are also used by girls, young girls, that are used by women. And this has been a pattern. When you were a lawyer for the state of California, you filed a lawsuit against Crunch Fitness, a gym, for not moving quickly enough to allow a biological male to use the women's locker room. When you were a lawyer for the state of New York, you filed briefs against the state of Texas, against the state of North Carolina, again advocating for biological males to use girls' and women's restrooms. And, you know, the thing I find troubling about these arguments is it seems the women and girls never have any rights. That the girls that would like to shower next to someone who is not a biological male, who would like some privacy, their rights never seem to matter. And your pattern, it's not a single case. It is across 3 jurisdictions over and over again. In the Texas case, the brief you filed said, quote, "There is no data or tangible evidence in support of the claim that allowing people to use bathrooms corresponding with their gender identity will lead to increased violence or crime in restrooms." Do you stand by that statement?
Thank you for the question, Senator Cruz. Again, as an advocate, you advocate for the positions of your client. I haven't been an advocate for 3 years. I've been a judge. And when
3 years is not very long. And my question is simple. Do you stand by that statement?
Senator Cruz, it would not be appropriate or consistent with my ethical duties to my former clients to comment on my personal views about any case that I worked on. What my duty was to advocate zealously for my clients. I have set aside the advocacy role, and I now occupy a judicial role where what you're
Judge, your brief also contended, quote, "In states where anti-discrimination protections are already the law, the predicted safety harm has never materialized." You made a bold, aggressive, factual statement, by the way. In North Carolina, you said safety concerns were, quote, "unfounded." You were an aggressive advocate, an activist advocate. And I believe the statements that you represented to the court, and those are statements that you're making as an officer of the court, I believe they were false, and they are extreme. You testified to this committee that you were not aware of what happened in Loudoun County until this morning. I find that remarkable for someone who has spent years as one of the leading activists for allowing transgender biological men to use girls' restrooms and women's restrooms. In Loudoun County, Scott Smith, who's the parent of a 14-year-old girl, alleged the Loudoun County School Board covered up.
Okay, we're going to stop it right there, and then we're going to jump back in because he's about to go into the explicit details about what happened in this case. But in essence, what happened there was a father who his daughter obviously came home, reported to him what happened to her at school, and it was that she got violated at school by a boy who claimed gender fluidity, went into the women's restroom or locker room. He went in there with his skirt on, playing this role. But as he was in there, he ended up taking advantage of this girl and violating her while he was there in the restroom. And so this whole thing plays out, goes to court. While it goes to court, the school district sweeps this whole thing under the rug. They pretty much advocate for the boy. He ends up, I don't know if the charges got completely dropped or what happened, but he ended up getting out of jail. And when he gets out, he ends up doing the same thing again to two more girls, because after he gets out, he's allowed once again to go into the girls' restroom and to be able to play this game. And so Senator Cruz, he's pressing her on this issue because she, in her career as a lawyer, has been an advocate fighting for the right for people to be able to do this. And she made the statement herself. You heard him ask her about it. She made the statement that she didn't see any safety concerns when it comes to allowing men to begin to use restrooms with women and have neutral gender restrooms. And so he's about to go into the details, and he presses her and asks her a question, and we're going to listen to her response about it.
Thank you for the question. I advocated on behalf of my clients based upon the data that we had at the time, and I zealously did so in those cases and in every other case that I handled.
Were you right?
Senator Cruz, it would not be appropriate for me to comment on the merits of any personal views regarding litigation that I handled on behalf of my clients.
Well, these little girls who
Senator
were sexually
Cruz,
assaulted
let her respond.
will have a very
Ms.
different
respond.
assessment.
Senator Cruz,
These
let
little
Ms.
girls
Thomas
who were
respond.
assaulted. Thank you for your
Time is
views,
up.
but
You're past time. Let's afford Ms. Thomas an opportunity
she
to
is
respond to your
perfectly welcome to respond. But as I said, the little girls who were raped in
Thomas.
Loudoun County would have a very different assessment of whether this threat and danger is speculative or not, and you're more than welcome to respond.
Thank you. I will just conclude by saying again that I understand the difference between being an advocate and being a judge. I am a judge now, and what I'm guided by is the record before me and the law, and that is what I do now, and it's what I'll continue to do if confirmed.
This is sad. This is a demon inside of a human body right here. This is what you have. She doesn't want to own up. She doesn't want to take accountability for her actions. She doesn't want to take accountability for the things that she spoke in the past and the things that she advocated for. You know, there's nothing wrong with admitting that you were wrong about an issue and to say that you have learned from the mistakes that you made in the past. But if you don't own up to your failures or your blunders, what that is saying is that you are prone to make the same mistakes again, or even do something worse, because now you have even more responsibility, or you've been entrusted with something greater because she's a judge now. She has no remorse for the things that she did in the past and all the cases that she fought for. It's interesting how liberals say that they are fighting for the rights of humanity. They're fighting for equal rights. But a lot of the things that they do really strips away the rights of other people. And it's just an agenda. And Ted Cruz, he pointed out so well, says, well, what about the women that want to be able to use the restroom or take a shower in a restroom that is only with women that don't feel comfortable being around these situations with men. What about them? But she doesn't care about that, obviously, because she only cares about the agenda that she is pushing. And ultimately, what we are seeing at work in our society today, it is a satanic agenda. It is a last days agenda. That the Bible talks about what is going to happen in the last days, that people are going to be lawless, and the agendas that they are pushing through politicians, generally coming from the left side more than the right side. And granted, I know things come from the right side as well, but when you look at some of these leftist liberals, they are really satanic in their beliefs and the agendas that they try to push. And here we have it right there in front of your face. We don't know what's going to happen with President Trump. We don't know what's to come forward from him being elected as president. But I can say this, that it's looking very hopeful that he's going to attack and he's going to push against some of these things, these satanic things, just like Senator Cruz is holding it down out there in Texas, man. That's why God bless Texas, because we got people like that that's still fighting for true American rights, because America was a nation that was built upon Christianity. And I'm excited to see what President Trump is going to do. He's made some claims about how he's going to restore this nation to Christian principles, and so that's what I'm looking forward to. But if you enjoyed this video, do me a favor, smash the thumbs up button. Also, why don't you drop a comment in the comment section? Let me know your thoughts on this issue, how you feel about gender neutral bathrooms, how you feel about all the agendas that are at work today in our society. Also, if you're new here, why don't you choose to hit that subscribe button and join the channel? It helps us and YouTube push this out to more people so that they can choose to embrace the mind of God. Also, there is a video that YouTube is going to recommend to you next that will be a blessing to you and help you to get the mind of God. And remember, we all have a mind, but there's no better mind than the mind of God.